All right. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you for continuing to show up and give me some patronage and allow me to continue to do this. If this is your first time, please make sure that if you at the end of the stream that you enjoy what you've heard, make sure to subscribe and continue coming back for new cases to learn about, new cases to hear about. And please do understand that everything that is spoken here is based on my understanding of the case. I present visual information and try to go over it so that it can be understood in a way for people to keep coming back to listen to different types of cases. I have a little bit of chat rules, but it's nothing too pressing. Just try to be respectful and classy and try to refrain from getting into arguments with other chatters. Everyone's opinion is valid, and we do agree to disagree in this channel. And that's about all that I have to say. Obviously, if the mods give you a warning, it's up to them what they want to do. So, today is Thursday, June 20th, 2024. I hope you guys are doing great out there. I was going to do an Idaho 4 case tonight, but I decided against it because not only did I do 2 streams yesterday, it kind of wore me out. And I'm not really in the mood to talk Idaho 4 today. So I decided to dive into the Gilgo Beach killer case. The title said, "Did Rex have an accomplice?" Please bear with me on this case. I just started researching it today, so I really don't know a lot about it, but we can learn about it together. If you know facts about it that I'm not really knowledgeable of, or I mistake something, please correct me in the chat. I'm not above being corrected. So, let's go ahead and start. I want to tell you a little bit about what started this whole thing. It's by a female. Her name is was Shannon Gilbert. And she started this whole thing off. And we're going to listen to how it started. So, here we go.
Today, a bit of a shocking finding. Police now say that they do not believe that Shannon Gilbert's death is a case of murder.
But they hope this and other evidence they decided to release today will help them solve what has been a rather embarrassingly long unsolved cases of mass murder, the murders or other kinds of deaths of 7 other people in Suffolk County and 3 others in Nassau County.
Eyewitness News reporter Kristen Thorne is live in Brentwood with our lead story tonight. Kristen.
Liz and Bill, police have been saying for quite some time that they weren't exactly sure if Gilbert was murdered or if she died in a marsh near Gilgo Beach. But after hearing these calls today, it does sound like that is a possible scenario.
No, stop it, please. Stop it, please. Please stop it. Please stop it. No.
In the 23-minute 911 phone call released by police from 2010, we hear Shannon Gilbert go from scared for her life to confused.
Why are you calling me by my name?
What's the matter? Are you okay?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me?
Let's go back to Manhattan.
Police say that's the voice of Michael Pack, Gilbert's bodyguard. Police say Pack drove Gilbert to the home of Joseph Brewer in Ocean Beach. Brewer had hired Gilbert, who was a sex worker.
At some point during the meeting with Brewer, Shannon reportedly began acting irrational.
Please, can you shut the door?
No, time to go.
Please, something's going to happen to me.
There's nobody outside. You're okay, right?
After that, Gilbert runs out of the house. She starts knocking on people's doors. Those people call 911 too.
43 the Bayou. Some woman is knocking at my door. She says she's in danger.
The last thing we hear on the call is Gilbert running again. Police say they believe Gilbert ran into this marsh in Gilgo, which would have looked like this at the time that night. They believe that's where Gilbert died.
Right now, we believe it's a tragic accident.
Police do not believe Gilbert's death is related to the murders of other sex workers whose remains were later found in Gilgo. For the first time, they're explaining why.
In this case, she's found on the south side of the parkway. In all the other cases, they're found on the north side of the parkway. In this case, our victim called 911. None of the other cases resulted in 911 calls. She's found with her identification with her. She's found with money with her, with cash with her. There's no effort to conceal her body.
So I think the real news today is that for the first time after all of these years, we have police acknowledging that they do not believe that Shannon Gilbert's death is related to the other murders of sex workers found in this area of Gilgo Beach. And that is very big news. Police say that Brewer and Pack, if you were curious about them, they say that they fully cooperated with this investigation and they're not considered suspects in anything at this time.
Okay, so she started off the whole investigation. Before her, they didn't really have any kind of, they had missing people, and I guess they weren't really taking the missing person seriously based on what they did for a living. Surprise, surprise. Once again, it's sad, and this is my own opinion here, um, that people and their lifestyles aren't taken seriously based on what they do for a living, whether it be escorts, whether it be prostitutes, whether it be drug addicts, whether it be people that are homeless. I mean, if somebody goes missing in that regard, sometimes they're not taken seriously by police, and that's sad that they're not looked into even further. But this individual left that residence in the middle of the night, ran past her bodyguard or driver, and they believe that when she called 911, that 23-minute call, and beating on the door, that she was in a state of drug-induced kind of panic. Well, it was found out later on that she fell into marshland and drowned. She was not a victim of the Gilgo Beach killer, as far as they know, but she started a whole investigation. So was she a hero? Because once they went out looking for her, they started stumbling upon these women. They found 4 of them, which they identified as the Gilgo 4. And let's go ahead and see how this took place. We're going to talk about who they found as the culprit and how they found him.
Solved string of killings has been taken into custody on New York's Long Island, more specifically in Massapequa. Now, you're looking at a live image of the suspect's home, and we've seen people going in and out all throughout the morning. The case itself involves the murders of 11 people whose remains were found in 2010 and 2011. Now, most of the victims were young women, and the bodies, many of them, found near the town of Gilgo Beach. Joseph Jackalone is a retired NYPD sergeant and the author of the Cold Case Handbook. He joins us now live to talk more about the case. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
So a big development here in a very big case. Now, I know you are very familiar with it. Can you start by kind of breaking down how this whole thing played out?
Certainly. This case dates back to at least May 1st of 2010, when Shannon Gilbert was seen running from the Oak Beach village, basically out on Long Island near Gilgo Beach. And this is what tipped off the entire case, because shortly thereafter that, in a few months, investigators found the remains of several bodies along Gilgo Beach. Now, there is 4 in particular that are interesting. They're referred to as the Gilgo 4. They were 4 women that were found wrapped in burlap, not far from each other. So, one can surmise that that killer was responsible for all 4 of those. Now, one of those victims, Melissa Bartholomew, was also her sister was harassed by an individual who was using her cell phone, calling her up and saying terrible things over the phone. Now, that phone pinged in Massapequa. And also, they had tracked this phone call, this person, all the way into Manhattan near Penn Station and Times Square. Now, the suspect that they have here lives in Massapequa, and he has his office on 36th Street in Manhattan, not far from Penn Station nor Times Square. So that's an interesting little connection there where people are saying all over the internet, what's the connection to this guy? If anything, I think that's what they keyed in on.
And it seems like overall investigators seemed fairly certain as this all played out that there was just one suspect and these were essentially serial killings.
Well, the problem that you had here, you had a public dispute between the police commissioner at the time, Richard Dormer, and the district attorney, Spoda, about how many killers they would have. Richard Dormer, the police commissioner, said there was one. Spoda, the DA, said that there were multiple. So that is a huge problem for a prosecutor now going forward on this case. So if I was investigating something like this, and I used to do this for the New York City Police Department, the issue that came down to, I would have focused in on what we refer to as the Gilgo Fork, because those had seemed to be the latest in the killings, and the fact that they were wrapped in burlap, which separated them from everybody else, other remains that were found. You could then say that these 4 victims were killed by one person.
Well, that's an interesting find right there. Like the documentary that I was watching earlier, obviously this is an older case, but they were being found in burlap. They were wrapped in burlap. And the individual that was presenting the documentary said that, many hunters use burlap to wrap their kill. So it was identified later that Rex was an avid hunter. When they arrested him, they found over 300 guns in his possession. So I thought that was some interesting stuff right there. Let's continue on.
So it's going to remains to be seen, right? So we have a big press conference. Remember, this is just my guess, so to speak, based on what we already know. I don't have any inside information, nor do I have all the answers to this developing story.
Now, we do have that, as you mentioned, news conference that is scheduled for later on today, where we could get some more information and will likely get a lot more information. What do you think it is about this case that so many people have been captivated by? I mean, this is one that you can talk about and folks know exactly what you're referring to. What is it about this case that so many people were paying attention to?
Well, there's been a number of Netflix movies on this. The true crime community, of course, has been involved in this. And there was a book written by the author. His name was Bob Kolker, who wrote Lost Girls, which was victim-centric. And I think that was one of the draws about how even Netflix came about doing a story on this. But this happened practically in my backyard, so to speak. Growing up on Long Island, living on Long Island, not living far from Jones Beach, where some of the remains were found. You have to remember there are several victims that were dating back at least until 1996 or earlier. We have the Fire Island Jane Doe, where parts of her remains were found. We also have what was referred to as Peaches, which was found at Hempstead Lake State Park, which then was her rest of her remains were found in Gilgo. And then, of course, you had Manorville. You have Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor, whose torsos were found in Manorville, and the rest of their remains were found on Gilgo. So Gilgo seems to be the ground zero for either one person or several persons who was using it, unfortunately, as a dumping ground for the remains of these victims. And the other sad part of this is that you also had, remember, Hurricane Sandy happened around this time too, where most of that barrier reef or island out there was covered under water too. So it could have wiped away other human remains or other evidence in this case.
What questions do you hope are answered during this news conference today? I mean, of course, we'll get court documents at some point that will provide a little bit more information, but what questions do you have that you do hope are answered today?
Well, first of all, like how they zoned in on this individual and what evidence did they go by? Was it the digital evidence from cell phone calls way back when? You have to remember, Suffolk County had a complete overhaul in their criminal justice system. So we have two new people out there, Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and the District Attorney Ray Tierney, who are elected to the position. He was elected about a year and a half ago, which was a big change from everything that was going on previously in other generation, going on in government. And here is the other issue. When you have a fresh set of eyes, and these two gentlemen took this case and said publicly in the very beginning that it was going to be first and foremost on their list. And here we are about a year and a half later discussing an arrest that was made. So sometimes that fresh set of eyes and the will to move forward on a case is something that all you need. There could be other things involved, like new forensic technologies and the like. So I hope that they just paint out a picture and tell us exactly what happened. But we're going to have to be patient, because from what I'm learning is that the indictment or the grand jury and the probable cause affidavit are going to be sealed. Kind of like what we saw in Idaho, where a lot of people then, cause a lot of speculation and a lot of running around with the true crime community. So I just hope that people are just patient enough to let the answers come out. They all will come out eventually.
Again, it looks like the podium's set up, and I have a feeling we're about to get this news conference here any moment now where they will provide some more details. Again, they're stepping up to the podium, so we're going to take this full and listen in live, raw, and unfiltered.
So good morning. There's been some new developments in the Gilgo investigation. Last night, a little bit around 8:30 p.m., in the vicinity of 35th and 5th Avenue in the city, members assigned to the Gilgo Beach Task Force, which consisted of numerous detectives and investigators from the Suffolk County Police Department, as well as our partners in the FBI, did place one individual under arrest, transported him back to 30 Yaphank, which is our headquarters, and he's currently in custody at this time. The case is in grand jury. We anticipate an indictment later on this afternoon, and we're going to probably have a press conference around 4 to 5 o'clock this afternoon with the district attorney and a lot of the other leadership that law enforcement has out here in Suffolk County. I do have to take advantage of this opportunity and thank the teamwork, the effort, the work by all the members of the task force, allowing us to get to this point today. It was a collaborative effort. The resilient work that was done allowed us to place somebody into custody. But once again, there will be a lot more detailed press conference later on today, 4 o'clock, out in Riverhead at the district attorney's office. I'm going to pass it over to our county executive, Steve Malone.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is my 12th year as county executive. I've lived with the Gilgo Beach investigation for my entire tenure as county executive. And I can tell you that during that time, the focus for me, members of our team, have been on bringing justice for these victims and closure to these families who have suffered. Today's developments take us a major step forward in doing exactly that. I want to thank all the members of law enforcement, but particularly here today, the Suffolk County Police Department, Commissioner Rodney Harrison. When I nominated Commissioner Harrison, I specifically spoke about one of the most important factors, and that is his background, his investigative background. He's former chief of detectives in the NYPD, former chief of department in the NYPD, and that the focus that he would bring to the investigation. And he did that right from the start, even before he started visiting the site where the bodies were discovered, releasing strategically new information, reconstituting the Gilgo Investigative Task Force, and bringing together those law enforcement partners And I want to thank all of our law enforcement partners. Certainly, I want to thank District Attorney Ray Tierney and his team for their great work. I want to thank the New York State Police, the FBI, and all the law enforcement partners who have worked on this case for so many years. I want to thank our former police commissioners, Commissioner Tim Sini, who then was followed by Police Commissioner Jerry Hart when he was elected district attorney. Commissioner Hart is former head of the FBI. When Commissioner Sini came in to office, he immediately re-engaged federal law enforcement. And that was Jerry Hart, again, the head of the FBI. When she took over as police commissioner, she continued to work with District Attorney Sini, and he continued to work to advance the case. And now here we are today with this arrest taking place, this major development in the case, and moving closer to that goal that we have all been working towards. I want the public to know, the message to the public is that we have never stopped working on this case. There are police officers, Suffolk police officers, who started working on this case who have retired now. But their efforts, their dedication, it has never stopped, putting more resources into the case. There are people who talked about this case never getting to this point, never getting to this resolution that we see today, this development that we should see today. But it was the nonstop, dogged determination of the men and women of the Suffolk County Police Department, our investigators, and our partners in law enforcement, including the Nassau County Police Department. I want to thank Commissioner Ryder. All of that work never stopped. And a message to the men and women of the Suffolk County Police Department. My thanks to you and specifically the investigators here and the team working under Commissioner Harrison. I've always been incredibly proud of the men and women of this department. This is one of the finest law enforcement agencies in the nation and the world. And I'm proud of the work that they've done here to bring us this much closer. The work is not done, and you will hear more details on that later today. The work is not done here, but this is a major, major step forward in achieving the goal that we have had from the beginning, and that is, again, to bring closure to these families and to bring justice to the victims in this case.
Here again, retired NYPD Sergeant. So we did have that fairly brief news conference that was held right there at the scene, essentially where that suspect was taken into custody there in Massapequa, New York. We did learn that coming up at about 4 p.m. Eastern time, we expect to get a little bit more information during a news conference with the district attorney. Joseph, what did you think of the comments that were made there? We did hear them say, of course, that they never gave up and they never stopped looking for the person responsible.
Out there, Rodney Harrison, he's done a great job from the short amount of time that he's been there.
I mean, if you're not familiar with this case, it went on, or it started like in 2010, I think, and it went on for a while. And like I said, had it not been for Shannon Gilbert 911 call, they still probably would have been having bodies out there on Long Island, Gilgo Beach. Like I said, I'm not very versed on this case, so I'm kind of learning as you're learning it. You know what I mean? So I watched the documentary today, but it's too much to really put in a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. So I'll probably do more of these along the way so that you can get an understanding. I understand it's hard to kind of follow along if you're not versed with the case. But what they're basically talking about here is how they caught him, how they put him in custody. And
actually, I personally know Rodney. He and I were sergeants together way back when. And I had all the faith in the world that he was going to be able to, if anybody was going to be able to do something, it was him. The county executive has been pretty much non-existent on this case, so it's I'm not surprised to see him there. This is a huge, event.
So let's go ahead and play the 911 tape. That way you can get more of an understanding of what started it off. Even though I played the first one, it didn't really play all of the 911. Hopefully this one does. Let's go ahead and go here. So during the morning hours of May 1st, 2010, Shannon Gilbert traveled.
State Police, Trooper Fry. State Police. Yeah, there's somebody after me. I'm sorry? There's somebody after me. Where are you? There's somebody after me. Okay, where are you? There's somebody after me. Where are you, ma'am? I don't know. You're driving right now? No, I'm inside the house. I'm sorry? I'm inside the house. What house? I don't know. Can you trace where I am? I'm sorry? Can you trace where I am? No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from? Huh? What phone number are you calling from? Somebody's after me. Please. Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County? I'm in Long Island. Where on Long Island are you? No. 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 No, stop, no. Where in Long Island are you? In Suffolk County? Nassau County? Huh? Why? Why are you calling me by my name? Why? County, you on the line? Stop. Please. Stop it, please. Please stop. Please. Can you shut the door? No, time to go. Please. 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 Go that way, please. Come on, let's go. Come on, roll that side. Come on, come on. No, please. Come on. Please, come on. Please. Come on. Why? Come on. I'm upstairs. You leave. I'm upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to go upstairs. Okay? You leave, please. Please, take care. My clothes. All right. What's the matter? Are you okay? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me? Why? Huh? Well, I don't know. But it was transferred to me. Why? No. Are you going to tell me? It's going to, I think it's Suffolk County on the north. Suffolk County on the north. Why are you going to call Suffolk County? I'm in the middle of nowhere. Let's go back to Manhattan. Right? We're in Long Island. We're out near the water. Please stop. Please, Mike. Brother, no, stop it, please. Hello? Hello? Please. What's the matter? What happened? Hello? Please, get me out of here, please. Hello? You're being sarcastic about this. You were part of this all along.
Shannon then ran from Brewer's house at 8 the fairway to Gus Coletti's house at 17 the fairway, a distance of 0.2 of a mile.
Shannon.
Shannon interacts with Coletti. He invites her inside his home.
Shannon.
Somebody here? Huh?
Hello? Hello?
Don't keep yourself hurt. Where are you going? Wait a minute. Where are you going? Where are you going?
She then runs from Coletti's home, prompting Coletti to call 911. After Coletti's call, Shannon then runs another 0.2 of a mile to another home at 43 The Bayou, prompting a third 911 call made at 5:30 a.m. by Barbara Brennan.
Suffolk Police 873 was location of emergency.
Yes, I live at Oak Beach in the association. There's a young girl about 14 years old running around here screaming, and there's some guy trying to follow her.
What's the address there?
I'm at 17 The Fairway.
All right. You have a description of the girl or the boy?
Pardon me?
You have a description of the girl or the boy?
The girl is about 14 years old, got blonde hair, very small. The boy, I can't tell. He was into like a Suburban.
What color?
Black.
Did you happen to get a plate number or any?
No, I didn't.
Okay, telephone number you're calling from?
Fourth.
Are they still on the fairway?
They just went past the gatehouse where the entrance is.
And what's the name of the complex?
It's Oak Beach Association.
Okay.
Out at by Robert Moses.
All right. We got somebody over there.
I'll be watching.
Oh, okay.
Suffolk Police 875. What is the location of your emergency?
43 The Bayou. Some woman is knocking at my door.
What town are you in?
Oak Beach Association.
What's the nearest corner street now?
Ocean Parkway. She says she's in danger.
Do you know her or no?
No, I don't. I'm not letting her in.
She's banging on your door now?
Yes.
Did she say what kind of danger?
No.
Oh.
And we live in a gated community.
What's your name, ma'am?
Barbara Brennan.
What's there a name to that community?
Oak Beach Association.
Oak Beach Association.
And I have an elderly mother here.
All right, I'll get somebody right over there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is drone footage and footage shot from the ground showing the marshland. It was taken at the same time of year and time of day as when Shannon went missing. These reeds can grow over 12 feet tall. They can disorient someone inside them, causing them to lose a sense of direction. One cannot tell where the highway is or where the bay is. The reeds and brush can become impenetrable in places. There's a trench running east and west through the marshland. This was created to allow mosquito control. It is believed that Shannon followed this trench. Personal belongings of hers were found just north of the trench. Shannon's remains were found north of the trench, about 158 feet south of Ocean Parkway, approximately 3/4 of a mile from where she was last seen. There has been information received during the course of this investigation that other people might be involved in this incident. They have all been investigated, and there is no reason to believe at this time that anyone else is involved in this tragic series of events. The police responded to Coletti and Brennan's 911 calls. Pack, Brewer, and Shannon were all gone. Gus Coletti provided a description of Pack's car, which was also gone. This created the possibility that Shannon had been driven out of the area, which caused a delay in the initial search for her. The police department has thoroughly investigated this case for more than a decade. The official cause of Shannon's death is undetermined. This official classification means there is insufficient or no evidence to determine or even to exclude an actual cause of death. The Gilbert family has hired a private pathologist to conduct an autopsy. His determination is there is insufficient information to determine a definite cause of death, but the autopsy findings are consistent with homicidal strangulation. That pathologist's report will be made available. This case, including the 911 call, and all of the other cases commonly referred to as Gilgo, in their entirety, were made available to the Behavioral Analysis Unit, or BAU, of the FBI. As part of BAU's review of the case, they retained the services of a psychiatrist to review Shannon's words and actions on the 911 tape, and also to review the facts of the case. BAU's opinion, based on their review of Shannon's case, the scene, the 911 calls, and a psychiatrist review, is that Shannon Gilbert's death is not consistent with Shannon being the victim of violence or of a violent offender. Significant differences between Shannon's death and the circumstances surrounding the other victims' deaths were also highlighted by BAU. The Suffolk County Police Department is open to evaluate any evidence to be able to help us and all involved determine a definite cause of death. However, based on the evidence, the facts, and the totality of the circumstances, the prevailing opinion is that Shannon's death, while tragic, was not a murder and is most likely an accident. While we are of the
Okay, so that was the 911 call. It was really, it's tragic all the way around. Can you imagine? It sounded like she was on some kind of substance. It just sounded like she was very disorientated. So she ran down that road after she escaped from that house, ended up at the first gentleman's residence. She ran from there to another residence. Then she ran off into the marshlands and supposedly drowned. Let me pull this up. I'm going to share with you the affidavit. Can y'all see that? Let me put myself at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I'm going to read this to you guys, and then I'm going to read a little bit more about the most recent stuff, but this is going to give you more of an understanding of what's going on. I know it's kind of boring right now, but that's how we get to the understanding of the case. I haven't been following this case. I don't know anybody that has followed it. If they can give information in the chat that I haven't given, please do so. It said defendant Rex A. Howerman stands before the court charged with the grand jury with murder in the first degree in violation of New York State Penal Law, Section 125.27, for the death of Melissa Barthelemy on or about July 10, 2009. Murder in the first degree for the death of Megan Waterman on or about June 6, 2010. Murder in the first degree in the violation of New York State Penal Section 125.27 for the felony death of Amber Costello on or about September 2nd, 2010. Murder in the second degree for the death of Melissa Barthelemy on or about July 10, 2009. Murder in the second degree for the death of Megan Waterman on or about June 6, 2010. And murder in the second degree for the death of Amber Costello on or about September 2nd, 2010. As described below, based on the serious heinous nature of these serial murders, the planning and forethought that went into these crimes, the strength of the people's case, the length of incarceration the defendant faces upon conviction, the extended period of time that this defendant was able to avoid apprehension, his recent searches for sadistic material, child pornography, images of the victims and their relatives, counter surveillance conducted online as to the criminal investigation, his use of fictitious name, burner email, and cell phone account, and his access to and history of possessing firearms. The only means to ensure defendant Rex A. Howerman's return to court is to remand him without bail. So basically what they found out upon searching his residence, they found a lot of sadistic material. They found a lot of child pornography, images of the victims and their relatives. It seems like he was doing research on the women's families that he had murdered. I don't know if he was planning on doing something to the families or if he was just trying to figure out where they were and what they knew. He also was doing counter surveillance on the police department, trying to figure out whether they were onto him or not. He did have a lot of fictitious emails, and he used burner phones when he would call these individuals on Craigslist or Backpage to um, to get these escort dates set up. So also, it said discovery of the victims. Here we go. On December 11, 2010, police officer John Malia was conducting a training exercise with his canine partner Blue along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach, Suffolk County, New York. During the course of this training exercise, Blue located a set of human remains. The remains were later identified to those of Melissa Barthelemy. 2 days later, on December 13, 2010, the SCPD continued to search in proximity to where the remains of Melissa Barthelemy were recovered. On that day, members of the SCPD found 3 additional sets of human remains within 1/4 mile of the first discovery. These 3 additional sets of remains were identified as those of Maureen Branyard Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The cause of death of all 4 women was determined to be homicidal violence. So this is where the bodies were found. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they became known as the Gilgo 4. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Not a huge long stretch of land between them. So it looks like the individual, Mr. Howerman, was able to pull on the side of the road, drag them along the marshland, and dump them right here next to the water. It's terrible. The investigation into these deaths were linked as, in addition to other factors, the victims each appeared to have been placed in close proximity to one another, 22 to 33 feet from the edge of the parkway. All were petite females, approximately 22 to 27 years old. Believed to be working as sex workers, all had missing clothing and personal possession. All had been killed by homicide. All had contact shortly before their disappearance with a person using a burner cell phone, i.e. cell phones without an associated verified identity. And the cell phones of 2 of the 4 victims, Brainerd Barnes and Barthelemy, were used by the killer after their death. So he used their phones after their death. Barthelemy, I think that's Melissa, whichever one Melissa is. Yeah, Melissa Barthelemy. He contacted her family for a month after he killed her and was talking to her younger sister. And it's just terrible that the phones would ping in downtown Manhattan where he worked as an architect. You know, he worked downtown Manhattan, and they found that the burner phone was pinging, or not the burner, the Melissa's phone, which he was using to call the sister to tell her about horrific details about her sister. And it was pinging downtown. And he also used the burner phone around by his residence. And they had all this information, and it'll be discussed here. In January 2022, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office assigned an hold on, I didn't finish that. In addition, each of the 4 victims were found similarly positioned, bound in a similar fashion by either belts or tape, with 3 of the victims found wrapped in a burlap-type material. In January 2022, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office assigned an experienced team of investigators, analysts, and prosecutors to work jointly with law enforcement partners from the Suffolk County Police Department, New York State Police, Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI. A comprehensive review of every item of evidence and information in this investigation was undertaken by the team. On March 14, 2022, approximately 2 months into the renewed joint investigation, this comprehensive review led to the discovery of a first-generation Chevy Avalanche that was registered to defendant Rex A. Harriman at the time of these murders. As described below, this was significant because a witness to the disappearance of Amber Costello identified a first-generation Chevy Avalanche as the vehicle believed to have driven by the killer. Amber Costello had a roommate. On the night of her disappearance, she got 3 calls from Rex, supposedly. Well, he was promising her up to $1,500 for the night to spend with him. And her roommate asked who he was or what he looked like or this and that and the other, and she described him as looking like an ogre. Well, the roommate described the vehicle as a first-generation Chevy Avalanche. He saw the vehicle as they drove off, and that was the last time anybody saw Costello alive. This discovery led to the comprehensive investigation of defendant Harriman, which consisted of over 300 subpoenas, search warrants, and other legal processes to obtain evidence. As discussed more fully below, among the items uncovered were cell phone billing records for defendant Harriman, corresponding to cell site location for the burner cell phones used to arrange meetings with their 4 victims, the taunting calls made to a relative of Miss Barthélemy, a call made by a detective to Miss Barthelемy's cell phone while looking into her disappearance, 4 calls checking voicemail Miss Brenda Barnes' cell phone after her disappearance. In addition, Harriman lived in Massapequa Park, where the victims were believed to have disappeared from, and he worked in Midtown Manhattan in the vicinity where the taunting calls were made to the sister of Miss Barthélemy. As is set forth more fully below, defendant Rex A. Harriman is believed to be the person who used the burner cell phone to communicate with each of the 4 victims prior to their disappearance, and who used Miss Brenda Barnes' cell phone and Miss Barthélemy's cell phone after their deaths. Both defendant Harriman and these burner cell phones had significant connection to Midtown Manhattan and Massapequa Park, New York. So, that kind of gives you an overlay of what I'm going to discuss in the near future. I want to stop right there because I don't want to go any further. I'm going to do probably a 3-part series of this. I don't know when, but I'm going to keep going into this. So, here's a little rundown on Rex. Rex was living a double life. He was a successful architect in downtown Manhattan, and he was married. He had a daughter and a stepson. Upon finding these individuals in these burlap sacks, the way he was found was one of his hairs was discovered on the burlap. They identified his DNA through the hair, and then they surveyed him, and he was an overweight man. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. That way y'all can see him. He was described as an overweight man, standing 6 foot tall, 6'4" to be exact, and he liked pizza, his former co-worker stated. So they surveyed him, and one day while he was eating pizza, he threw it away in the trash. They took the pizza and got the DNA from it. I hate these Google images because if you click on a page They make you want to subscribe to it. There he is right there. So that was the life he portrayed from 9 to 5. This was his wife. They filed for divorce. She filed for divorce after they arrested him. This is what obviously it looked like when you went hunting in the woods and things of that nature. Here's a picture of his family. That's the wife, that's the daughter, and that's the son-in-law, I guess. These two were working for him, I think. So, also they caught him on camera going in to pay for the burner phone. They caught him on camera paying for minutes for the burner phones. This guy ran for over a decade. So he was living a double life. And this is the photos that they said that he would send the escorts to show them what he looked like. Y'all tell me, does he look like an ogre to y'all? Does he look like an ogre? Does he look like Shrek to y'all? Yeah, this man. They found 11 bodies, the last count that I heard on the Gilgo beach. But not all of them have been tied to him. So they think that there's more than one killer. There could be as many as 4. That might have been a dumping ground for the killers to dump the bodies, which is extremely chilling. Extremely chilling, because as they described that place, it wasn't like it was a place. Let me show this picture. That way I'll give you some kind of insight on. If you've ever been to the beach or whatever, like look at how the marshland is, like this is overgrown. You throw a body there, you put them in burlap, it's gonna kind of look like the vegetation anyways. You cover it up with some of the old dead stuff, I guess, and nobody will be the wiser. Like they said, this wasn't used to go down to the beach area, so there was overgrown brush and everything like that. So it's not like people would walk through that to get to the beach. So, the chances of them females being found were very, 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 I can't think right now. Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very nil? I don't know. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. They wouldn't have found them. So that kind of concludes my first part on the Gilgo Beach. And we will dig deeper into this case, because I'm not really gonna go and do Idaho 4 for a while. I'm gonna kind of give it a break. As you can tell, many people are still doing it, and they're coming up with different theories. I guess they're working on they're, they're working on Kilpaca's search warrant now, I guess. Um, I don't know what that's all about, but I don't know. What do y'all think about this case? I mean, are y'all going to kind of do some research on it? Um, y'all going to kind of get up to date on it if you know more about it? Like I said, if any of y'all want to come up on panel and talk about what you know, when I'm up on panel again, you're more than welcome to, because it's going to take me a while to really understand all the dynamics because it's a decade old, you know? So, yeah, I don't know, Rondi. I don't know why they're bringing that up. I don't know why they're um focusing on a lot of the things that they're still talking about. I mean, they're just I guess they're just trying to continue the surge until the trial. I agree with you because he did have a home in South Carolina and Vegas. So I think they found the avalanche in South Carolina. So um, I'm pretty sure there was probably more victims. But like I said, you know how thorough I am on the Idaho 4 case. So, once I start deep diving into this thing, it's going to be just as thorough. So please excuse my lack of lack of continuity on this first live about this because I really, like I said, I don't know a lot about it. Um, I had probably a couple of hours of research today, and you know, so I wanna know how the trial is going, whether he's gone to trial yet. I think he's still in jail. I don't think he's gone to trial yet. Um, so I hope y'all enjoyed that, and I know there's plenty of other creators going live here, and they're probably live right now. So y'all go and head over there and give them a shout out. And thank you so much, Rondi. Yeah, my graduation date has been pushed up to March 2025. It was June, now it's pushed up to March. So hopefully I'll be out of school around that time, and hopefully we'll be at trial by then by the Idaho 4, So it's very sad that these people lost their lives. Like I said at the very beginning, it doesn't matter what you do for a living or what you're doing for extra money. All that is, it just, people need money to survive, and who's to place judgment on them? Nobody deserved to lose their life just because they were escorts or prostitutes or whatever they were doing. So, um, I think it's very sad that that line of work is the most dangerous line of work, it seems to be in, because people prey on those individuals, and especially the addicted as well. So, it just sad. It's just sad. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Y'all have a good night. I won't be live probably until Sunday to do the Serenity group, as we call it. Um, I'm not playing. I'm not gonna hop on live for any reason unless there's a breaking news coverage on something that I know about. Because unlike other people, and I'm not calling names out, I don't like to talk about things that I don't have knowledge on. Kind of like tonight. I was doubting whether I wanted to do this or do more research, but I wanted to get it out there so that at least it could be a presentation. I don't believe in, speculating a lot, even though last night I was on a panel that I speculated my butt off, and I felt really weird about that. But, um, can you email that to me, Truth Exposed? That way I can get on that one too. I want to get some new cases. That way, kind of just just to get something new out there. The Idaho 4 case is the Idaho 4 case. I don't believe that we're going to find anything different than what we found in the last year and a half or however long it's been. Rondi says, "I bet you will." Just to chat. No, I'm not. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill. So, y'all have a wonderful night. Keep your families close to you, and y'all stay safe out there. Okay. That's an old case. Okay. Well, let's try to find something newer to talk about. Something that's still in the infant stages. Good night, everybody. Maestro, cue the music.